Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. EDC for the month of July. I call this my lucky hand because, yeah, I was able to win some money while carrying this everyday carry. And if you're trying to find some ideas for yours, this might be a helpful way to go. First, we got to start off with the knife. We start with the CRKT. This is the redemption. It is a crossbar lock. However, it does have a bolster handle. I like it a lot. It is a Magna cut blade. It looks very, very good. And the thing about this is that this is CRKT stepping into the world of that premium knife. This thing is made in America. It has G10 scales and it just is a very good looking knife. The reason I really wanted to carry this, it pays homage to the bikers from back in the day, the Wild Wild West, and also the poker players of the Wild Wild West. And Wild Bick Hickok purportedly held at the time at his death a knife similar to this. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to be going to casinos this month. I recently just got back from Cleveland, Ohio. It's casinos up there. Went to the casino with my granddaddy. And I did win some money with this knife in my pocket. So I take this as being my little good luck charm. I like it because, you are able to reverse the pocket clip if you want to. It does have very nice accents to it. It's actually very fun to open, although it doesn't actually have like a thumb stud or a flipper. Just that bolster handle is able to get you access to the crossbar to whip the knife out, use it. This Magna cut blade is a very good heat treat on it, and it cleans up very, very nice. Has a stone wash finish. And I think if you're looking for a premium knife that might be a little bit different from something that's already in your collection, you should consider this because this thing feels fantastic in the hand. And on top of everything, it is made in the USA, so that's always a bonus for me because we're going to be able to know that we're supporting companies that are trying to make more and more items in the USA. Speaking of making stuff in the USA, we got to talk about today's video sponsor, which is Veer and their C5 Recon watch. And this is a fantastic watch that it's hard to keep this thing in stock because this thing sells out quite often. This is a C5 Recon Field Solar watch. Solar meaning that 6 hours of sunlight will get you 6 months of reserve time on this. You're going to say, X, that looks oddly familiar to other watches you've talked about in the past. And that is so because this is the cousin to the C5 Tactical Solar Field watch. The biggest difference is that a lot of people love this watch, but some folks wanted something that was not PVD coated in the black. So this is where you come in, you get that classic stainless steel look. And of course it is made of stainless steel, a great sapphire crystal glass. This is also assembled in America. So I like the fact that when you order these bad boys, you get 2 watch straps. So I have the NATO strap that you can get when you buy it, but you can also get the very well-made rubber straps that comes with it. If you really want to though, instead of getting that, you can also choose some nylon straps. So you got yourself some different options. I think it looks fantastic. You can use this in workout gear, kind of what I got on right now, or you can even use it in an office or field environment. 40 millimeter on that dial makes it big, easy to read, and it's very, very rugged. Has a lockdown, screw down crown, which makes that 2-year waterproof guarantee make that much more sense because 10 atmospheres of water resistance is going to get you plenty of ways to dive deep in some water, and you're going to be very, very satisfied with this bad boy. I'm a big old fan of what Veer is doing with this. Shout out to Veer for sponsoring today's video. Check the links down below for the best pricing on this. This sells out extremely quickly, so if you want to grab one, you might want to look at it sooner than later. So something that won't be in my pocket every day, but I have been testing it out quite a bit, is I did pick up on the Prime sale last month, the Victorinox Swiss Tool Spirit X. I almost got the one, I think it's called the MX, that has the pocket clip, but I wanted something with a little bit longer knife. I like this. It has a lot of tools on it, and it comes with a nice leather sheath. MSRP, it's $145, which I think is a very reasonable price, especially when you compare it to some of its Leatherman brethren. But I got it on sale for like $105 or $110 during the Prime Day sale. I like it because similar to some of those Leatherman knives, multi-tools, you can access every single tool except for the pliers while the multi-tool is closed. So if you want a reaming tool, you got that, or you can use it as an awl. You also have your bottle cap lifter. You also have, technically, you do have a chisel, but you can use this as a box opening tool if you don't want to gunk up your knife. It has right inside of that a wire stripper, and then of course you have the knife itself. The knife is a relatively long knife compared to the MX version of this. I think that's why I really wanted to lean towards this one. So you have that. Then the tool set on the other side is just as capable, just in case you want to be able to use that. And you do have the can opener. You do have a smaller pry bar / slotted screwdriver right there. And then my favorite thing so far has been just the length of this Phillips. This Phillips is super long. It's super deep. That's going to be easy, make it better for when you're getting deep inside of like a toy cavity. If you're trying to take apart some type of electronics, you ever dealt with a long cavity where you're trying to get to that Phillips screw? Yeah, that makes it a lot easier to do that without having to go get an actual screwdriver out of your drawer. So I like that a ton. And then of course you get their scissors. Now I wish the scissors were kind of bigger like some of their, like the Swiss Army knives, but these scissors are still very sharp. They're still Victorinox scissors, and they're more than capable for cutting tissue paper or aluminum, something that might be better to use instead of using a knife. And then you get a good wood file and a metal file. So if you need to knock down the head of a screw, if you need to do a little bit of just touch up work to some wood, you have that. And then of course, you get the pliers. Now these pliers I like a lot because they reset a little, they're not butterfly, but I will say when you're using these, they're easy to reset the plier one-handed. And one thing I'll notice about some Leatherman multi-tools, except for the mutt works really good, is that when you're trying to reset the pliers so that you can use this on a boat or pull a bunch of, you're trying to pull some staples or nails out of a wall, sometimes I don't want to have to put my hand back on the plier on the multi-tool to reset it. And this thing does not dig into your hand when you're using it. And the lack of a pocket clip actually makes this easier to use. I like that a lot. Of course, it is stainless steel, so it's going to be fingerprint ridden, but don't particularly care about that. I think it's a really good multi-tool. I like the fact that it comes with a very nice leather sheath that you can run through with a belt if you want to. I probably won't do that. It really just depends on what I'm doing that day. We're finishing up a fence project here on my property. Next, we're going to be moving on to my pool and working on that. And just having a multi-tool instead of having to run back to my toolbox is going to be handy on some of those days whenever that comes into play. We got to talk about the Phoenix LD Renegade. The LD Renegade is just the next progression in the LD series. This is a fantastic flashlight to keep in your pocket. I like this a lot. It comes in 3 different colors. I do have it here in the black. You can get it in orange. You can get it in green as well. 1800 lumens. This is built to carry. Okay, no nonsense. It has a lock on here, which I like a ton. So you can lock it and it won't accidentally turn on in your pocket. You can swap the battery out if you really, really want to. And just throw another 18650 battery in here. You don't have to use Phoenix battery, so that's a good thing. So you're not stuck using that. You can turn on and get the instant access to the turbo mode if you hit that back button. Very clicky button in the back, which I like a lot. You can really just tell when you're pushing that down. The only complaint I have about this is that the pocket clip is not in a locked position. So sometimes when I pull it out of my pocket, I don't exactly have my finger directly on the forward placing button. It's not that big of a deal, but that is just like my only small complaint. But this is a real world design that I think that they've done a very, very good job in. It's less than 5 inches long. That 1800 lumen is just really good to just be able to use, pull out whenever you see fit. Whenever I'm not testing a flashlight, a lot of times, if I'm looking for a barrel style flashlight, I find myself gravitating back to this Phoenix. It really does deserve a full review, especially if you're the type of person who likes to wear a hat. You can use the pocket clip for that. Pocket clip is steel. It's very, very durable. Very good flashlight. You can run a lanyard in here if you want to. The biggest thing about the upgrade for this specific flashlight is that now it can stand on its tail, where the previous versions could not do that. And that's something that you definitely want to be able to have. So all this stuff is sitting in my EDC tray that I make here in my man cave. This is the MarineX EDC tray. I like this a lot. I did have a sale last month that would get you 15% off. And if you're watching this video now, I'll give you an additional 10% off. Use the code MarineX down below. You can get this walnut engraved tray here, which is where I dump all my gear every single day. And I think you'll like this a ton, especially if you just want to know where all your stuff is, no matter what's going on. That might be something that you may want to check out. A titanium wallet. Who'd have thought that you want a grade 5 titanium wallet? I did recently pick this up a couple of months ago. This is from Daily Carry Co. It can hold up to 6 cards, which is what all I need for this month. RFID blocking technology, which that's kind of becoming a buzzword. I don't know how many people are really running around skimming cards nowadays, because so many of our cards, our debit cards and credit cards, are kind of like the microchip is very, very protected. But if you do want that peace of mind, you do have that. It includes a cash strap. I'll tell you my one complaint about it, but I told you I won some dough at the casino, so I like to be able to hold that with me just in case. You know, I actually went up 200% for the amount that I brought, and I was able to use the rest of the day betting with house money. So I like when those good days come. Push the button here, you access your cards. They pop up very, very easily. This is all I really need to be able to do. So I can grab my most used card in the front. The very back is usually my driver's license. The only thing I don't like is that it includes an AirTag holder. I particularly would like if they sold a cash strap that didn't have it, because I have an AirTag. However, it's in my bag. I don't want it on here. I think it just doesn't look that great. I think if Apple started making AirTags which were black, I would probably carry it, but I don't like the one is white. Plus, I already have a tracker for this wallet. I use Esker's tracker, and this thing back here allows for me to track just in case I lose my wallet, and you usually lose it inside the house. I can make the Esker card tracker make a sound as long as it's quiet in my house. I can find my wallet. That's where I usually lose my wallet anyways. Great, fantastic. If you want a very durable wallet, you're always tossing it around, you might want to get that. And then it has a dope topo design on there. I don't know what area that's purporting to be, but I mean, it's pretty dope. I wonder if you can get this laser engraved though, of like maybe your name or something like that. I've almost thought about putting my own name on here, but a very, very durable, good wallet nonetheless. Something that won't be in my pocket every day, but I have been testing recently, especially on my rucks, has been the Loop Gear SK05 Pro Mark II. This is the UV version. And right now, it's only officially available on their website. Eventually, this will make its way to Amazon. I like this because you can get that 5,000 lumen. It has a 360 nanometer UV light on here. So you can use this if you need to look for a blood trail or see if money is real or anything like that. So it's nice to have a UV light. You also have the ability to still get those RGBs in the front and use that if you want to illuminate an area in front of you. It has the full spectrum, or you can just get a white light. You can also do like police light. It's just a very fun light. You know what I use this for a ton is the recent trip we took in the Airbnb when I'm trying to distract my 3-year-old. Literally, I could just hand this to her and say, hey, here, look, you got a flashlight to use funky colors. She runs around and uses this. Great head on this, where you get a good old a spot beam, you get a good flood beam. You can use both for the turbo mode. I've done a full review on the SK05 Pro Mark II. The UV version is basically the same with the addition of the UV light. But this is a very good upgrade from the original SK05. It charges with USB Type-C. It does use two 18650 batteries. So if you want to, you can swap the batteries out in the fly. It has a very crazy strong magnetic base. Not really EDC light that goes in your pocket, more for like a backpack, shoulder strap of a bag, maybe in the cab of your vehicle. But we're going to have a full review on this one as well. Of course, it doesn't go in my pocket, but goes on my body. Is my Beretta PX4 Storm. This is a 40 caliber. Now the thing about this is I finally was able to get the actual mount fixed on this bad boy. O-Sight is about to drop some new sights, so I've already taken the old one off in preparation for the new one. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see what that is, and I can give you my thoughts on how that functions. I've been loving this with the combination of the Streamlight TLR3X, which came out at around January, February time frame, around SHOT Show. They announced it at SHOT Show. They dropped it a couple weeks later. Great, dependable carry. If you're okay with a larger caliber, a larger weapon, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine with this made in Italy weapon. I've had this thing for a little bit over a decade, and I've been very, very happy with it. You can leave the iron sights in it if it's well with that. It's a great carry for my hand. I have bigger, kind of beefier hands, so I like something that makes me feel a little bit more confident with it. But if you're okay with something like this, you should definitely check something out as well. Of course, I like to smoke sticks, and I always like to have a way to start a fire. You've seen this before if you've seen any of my EDC videos, a Zippo with a butane insert. It Doesn't really matter which one. I do have the Montana Knife Company variant of this. I like the logo that they have on here, but I do have a butane insert from Zippo. You can get them third-party brands as well. I've noticed that Zippo's butane inserts really kind of allows the butane evaporate slower than some of its competitors. I can put butane in here and it will kind of stay in here a month as long as I don't open it up. So I've been liking that a ton. So my everyday carry has been rounded out very, very well. Of course, the phone still the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. I like this. You know, the feature I use the most, obviously, other than the calling and text and all the other crap, has been the thermometer. A lot of people wonder what that little circle is underneath the flash. That's actually a thermometer, which is FDA approved to take the temperature of humans. So I got 5 kids. And when you're on a trip, like we were in Cleveland at an Airbnb, a kid seems to all of a sudden be running a temperature. Yeah, take this. You can use this to not only tell you the temperature of objects, like your coffee, is it cooled down to the temperature you want it to be, but also of humans. So I've been a very big fan of that. And then normally not in my pocket, I do have this little palm pepper spray. And I like this because it's small, petite. I can put this on my keys, although I would never do that because I just don't like a lot of jangling keys all over the place. But it's just petite enough. And I usually tend to carry this in my gym, in my pocket when I'm at the gym, just in case it's going down. And I'll show you, I have a full gym loadout, and I also, have a full loadout that I've been using for my EDC bag. I'll make sure you get subscribed if you want to see what I carry in that bag as well, because it's a pretty well-rounded loadout for me this month. So let me know, what are you carrying this month? What do you carry? What are you thinking about upgrading? Or is there a pen? Is there a specific flashlight? Is there something I should be checking out? I would love to know. Your comments down below. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.